The story of how the pyramids were actually built is far less dramatic than the myths that swirl endlessly around them. And yet, in its calm, methodical unfolding, it reveals a world that moved not with the haste of modern machines, but with the slow and deliberate breath of thousands of human hands across generations, creating something that was never meant to dazzle us with mystery, but simply to fulfill the practical and spiritual expectations of a civilization that saw death as a continuation rather than an ending. And so in this chapter, we begin not with aliens, lost technologies, or forgotten supercivilizations, but with a dusty shoreline along the Nile around 2600 BCE, where the world was quieter, the nights darker, and the horizon wider. Here, in the early morning light, workers, ordinary farmers, stone pullers, bakers, potters, rope makers, foremen would gather as the river's calm surface reflected the promise of another day of perfectly predictable labor. And it was this predictability, not some divine miracle, that formed the backbone of pyramid construction. Because the Nile's annual flooding meant that for several months each year, the agricultural fields disappeared underwater, leaving tens of thousands of farmers without crops to tend. And instead of letting this seasonal workforce sit idle, Egypt's central administration mobilized them to public construction projects, offering food, clothing, and housing in exchange for labor. And so the pyramids grew from a rotation of people who, rather than being slaves chained in misery, were paid laborers completing state work during the agricultural off-season. But the misconception of slavery persists simply because later, Greek historians found the structures so impossibly large that they assumed only slave labor could have accomplished such feats. Although archaeological evidence shows comfortable worker villages, medical facilities, grain storage sites, fish preparation buildings, and even beer breweries, because the Egyptian state understood that a well-fed workforce is more productive than a starving one. And so these pyramids were crafted not through brutality, but through careful organization, standardized logistics, and a slow, almost meditative rhythm that aligned with the heartbeat of the river. Imagine now the landscape before the Pyramid of Khufu. Existed no towering monument, no polished limestone gleaming like a star fallen to earth, just a broad plateau chosen specifically because the bedrock was stable enough to support millions of tons of stone without sinking or shifting. And it was on this foundation that surveyors, using nothing more than knotted ropes, shadow measurements, water level channels, and simple sighting tools, mapped out the perfect square base with surprising accuracy. Because contrary to modern assumptions, ancient Egyptians were not struggling with geometry. They had mastered right angles through the sect system. They understood how to divide rope into equal segments to create precise triangles, and they were meticulous about alignment. So much so that the Great Pyramid sides miss perfect cardinal alignment by only a tiny fraction, showing just how advanced their observational astronomy was. And once the foundation was marked, quarrying began, not in distant mountains dragged across deserts, as some imagine, but in quarries just beside the pyramid site, where workers used copper chisels, dolerite pounding stones, and wooden wedges soaked with water to pry apart limestone blocks, each averaging around 2.5 tons. And while many imagine this process as a brutal, exhausting struggle, it was instead steady, rhythmic, almost hypnotic. Hundreds of men striking dolerite balls against bedrock in sync, producing a slow metallic beat that echoed across the plateau like a giant heart, while others soaked wooden wedges so they expanded and split the stone along natural fractures. And every block removed followed a standardized size because the Egyptians understood the value of uniformity in maintaining structural integrity. Although the biggest question people ask, how were the massive blocks transported, turns out to have a surprisingly simple answer. They slid them on sledges. But the secret was water, because wall paintings from the tomb of Jututip show workers pulling a statue on a sledge, while another man pours water in front of it to reduce friction. And modern experiments show that the correct amount of moisture can reduce friction by half, making the sled glide smoothly over sand instead of digging into it, meaning that teams of about 20 men could move a 2.5-ton block with manageable effort, especially when they coordinated footsteps the way Egyptian hauling teams did, walking in perfect unison to evenly distribute force. And contrary to popular imagination, the pyramids weren't built from the bottom upward with random piles of stones. Each layer was carefully leveled using water channels, each course laid with intentional inward tilt for structural stability. And ramps were built not as giant external spirals wrapping the entire pyramid, which would have required more material than the pyramid itself, but as straight, wide ramps combining internal corridors and external extensions, allowing workers to raise stones to higher levels without impossible gradients. Whereas internal ramp theories, supported by microgravity scans revealing hidden corridors, suggest that the Egyptians may have built a spiraling interior ramp that reduced the need for massive exterior ramp systems. And this idea fits well with their known preference for efficient resource use. Imagine this slowly rising mountain of limestone, coursed level by level, its shape taking form under the sun that warmed the plateau, while thousands of workers went about their tasks with calm consistency, passing stone chips, managing copper tool, resharpening, preparing food, maintaining ropes, soothing injuries, and organizing the endless flow of blocks from quarry to construction line. And this collective rhythm, rather than any magical technique, was the true engine behind the pyramid's creation. Each day brought small progress, set, another ramp extended, another block pulled into place until, after nearly 2 decades, the pyramid's form towered hundreds of feet above the desert. But even then, the work was not complete, for its brilliance came from the polished Tura limestone casing stones, fitted like the skin of a jewel, reflecting the sun so intensely that it is said the pyramid once shone like a second sun on earth. And these casing stones, perfectly angled and polished, required even more precision than the core blocks, suggesting again that the Egyptians' real talent was not secret technology, but patience, organization, mathematical understanding, and a worldview that saw such monumental work not as a burden, but as a sacred duty. And so, in this first chapter, we discover that the construction of the pyramids was neither mysterious nor miraculous, but a long, quiet collaboration between a river, a government, a workforce, and a belief system that all moved in slow, deliberate harmony. As the pyramid continued its slow rise above the desert, the process of construction entered a more intricate phase that required not only strength and organization, but a deep understanding of balance, alignment, and the quiet cooperation of thousands who moved like parts of a single organism. And in this part of the story, we step deeper into the world of planning and logistics that made the project possible. Because, contrary to the dramatic modern belief that the Egyptians were improvising massive feats of engineering on the fly, they actually planned every step with extraordinary foresight, beginning years before a single stone was ever cut. And this planning began inside administrative offices rather than quarries, where scribes, mathematicians, and overseers recorded the seasonal availability of laborers, the predicted behavior of the Nile floods, the estimated block counts needed for each course, and the delivery schedules for food, copper, ropes, timber, and tools that had to reach the plateau at precise times so that the workforce never experienced delays. Because delays would not simply slow the construction, but disrupt the entire agricultural and administrative cycle of the kingdom, making the project not just a building, but a carefully orchestrated national calendar. And so, supply chains became one of the quiet miracles of pyramid construction, stretching from quarries to river docks, from papyrus storage rooms to bakeries producing thousands of loaves daily, from copper mines in Sinai to pottery centers that crafted water jars for the workers who labored under the sun. And while it is tempting to imagine the workers as exhausted and overburdened, archaeological evidence from the workers' village at Height El Garab reveals a surprisingly humane environment, with barracks capable of holding rotating crews, bakeries with massive bread ovens, medical facilities where broken bones were reset by skilled practitioners, and even graffiti carved by workers who proudly identified themselves as friends of Khufu or drunkards of Menkaure, suggesting not slaves, but teams with camaraderie, identity, and pride in their work. And this human aspect, this sense of belonging to something larger, was perhaps one of the great invisible forces that pushed the project steadily forward. However, the next major challenge was not the movement of the stones, but the precise setting of each block in its final position. Because although the core of the pyramid may appear rough today, the Egyptians were obsessed with leveling and alignment at levels that still puzzle modern engineers, using water-filled trenches to create perfectly horizontal reference levels that allowed them to ensure that each new course did not tilt or veer. And they accomplished this with simple tools made from rope, wood, and copper, yet with an accuracy that makes the Great Pyramid lean less than an inch across its entire base. And so the builders developed a steady workflow where blocks arrive, were trimmed on site, and then positioned with levers and teams of men who worked in synchronized motions, easing each stone into place with a soft thud as wooden levers creaked and ropes tightened under the desert heat. But even more fascinating was the method of raising the blocks to higher levels, where the debate about ramps often distracts from the reality that the Egyptians experimented with multiple ramp systems, using straight ramps when lower courses were being laid and switching to internal corridors or compact zigzagging ramps as the structure grew taller, thus maintaining a manageable incline that workers could navigate without exhausting themselves. And these ramps, made from limestone chips and mud brick, were constantly dismantled and rebuilt as the height increased, forming a temporary skeletal network around the pyramid that guided the workforce upward like a spiraling path into the sky, while overseers kept count of every stone laid marking progress with tally sticks and papyrus notes, ensuring that the work proceeded with steady predictability. And as courses rose, the project shifted from mass hauling to fine craftsmanship, especially when it came to the placement of cornerstone blocks and the reinforcement of internal chambers, shafts, and passageways that had to align with astonishing precision to astronomical targets, such as the North Star or the circumpolar constellations, because the Egyptians believed that the king's soul would ascend through these openings to the heavens. And so masons spent days polishing the interior surfaces of granite beams brought from Aswan, them down the Nile on barges during flood season when the water rose high enough to carry such heavy loads. And this transportation network was one of the quiet masterpieces of Egyptian logistics, because it transformed the Nile into a moving highway that carried everything from food to granite to timber, enabling the capital's resources to flow effortlessly toward the pyramid site. And yet, the process of building the pyramid was not only technical but deeply spiritual, because every stone lifted was believed to contribute not merely to a tomb but to a sacred machine, designed to ensure the pharaoh's transformation into an eternal being. And this gave the workers a sense of purpose that transcended the monotony of daily labor. Each rhythm of the hammer, each tug on the rope, each loaf baked for the workforce, becoming an act of devotion wrapped in routine. And this combination of faith and bureaucracy, spirituality and engineering, created the subtle harmony that powered the project forward. While the Great Pyramid slowly became not only a physical structure, but a national symbol rising course by course under the watchful eye of the sun god Ra, whose daily path across the sky was imagined as a mirror of the pharaoh's eternal journey. And as we move toward the later stages of construction in the next part, it becomes clear that the true secret of the pyramid's creation is not lost technology, unknown tools, or supernatural intervention, but the quiet, steady collaboration of thousands of people who accepted a worldview in which life, death, and labor were all interconnected parts of the same eternal cycle, making the construction of the pyramids not a mystery, but a testament to patience, precision, organization, and the slow unfolding of a vision that took decades to realize under the unchanging desert sky. As the pyramid reached its upper stages, the work shifted from the broad, heavy labor of raising the core to the delicate and often dangerous craftsmanship required to shape the monument into the geometric marvel it was intended to be. And this phase of construction reveals the Egyptians' astonishing ability to merge practicality with vision, because while the lower courses demanded massive ramps, large teams, and the steady hauling of uniform limestone blocks, the upper courses required tapered stones, smaller teams, and a far more refined sense of placement, precision, and architectural foresight, particularly as the pyramid narrowed toward its apex, where even a slight deviation could distort the entire structure. And so the builders developed intricate scaffolding systems, platforms, and compact internal ramps that allowed workers to reach increasingly tighter spaces without compromising the stability of the growing monument. And during this stage, the coordination between masons, surveyors, haulers, and overseers became even more synchronized, with surveyors constantly checking angles, using sighting rods and alignment cords to ensure that each face of the pyramid continued its perfect slope toward the invisible point, where all sides would eventually meet, while teams below continued cutting and hauling stones in a rhythm that had been refined over decades, maintaining the supply line without interruption. And although the top of the pyramid appears small in comparison to its colossal base, this uppermost region required extraordinary care, because the blocks had to be trimmed with greater precision, their angles carefully measured, and their surfaces smoothed to ensure they aligned seamlessly with the casing stones that would eventually cloak the entire structure in a brilliant white sheen. And to accomplish this, the Egyptians used copper chisels, hardened by repeated hammering, dolerite pounding stones that shaped granite beams with surprising efficiency, and wooden mallets that absorbed impact without splitting the stone, while teams of tool sharpeners worked continuously to maintain the edge of every chisel used by the masons high above the desert floor. And as the structure rose higher, the workers were exposed to greater wind, harsher sunlight, and the psychological strain of laboring hundreds of feet above the plateau. Yet evidence from worksite remains suggests they maintained their routines with remarkable consistency, encouraged by food rations of bread, fish, and beer, the latter brewed in vast quantities to keep workers hydrated in the desert climate. And this steady supply of nourishment helped maintain morale and productivity, creating a sense of community that transcended the physical challenges of the project. And as the top neared completion, the placement of the pyramidion, the capstone, became the ultimate test of skill, because this single stone needed to be perfectly aligned to crown the entire monument. And while the original pyramidion of Khufu's Great Pyramid has never been found, records and later examples suggest it was crafted from fine limestone or granite, and possibly covered with electrum, an alloy of gold and silver that would have reflected the sun like a beacon, symbolizing the pharaoh's connection to the divine. And during the placement of this capstone, a carefully arranged system of ropes, wooden frames, and coordinated lifting teams would have guided it into place as overseers watched every angle, every shadow, ensuring its perfect alignment. And once the apex was secured, the builders proceeded to the final and most visually transformative stage of construction, the application of the casing stones, which were cut at the Tura quarries along the Nile and transported by boat during the flood season, arriving with smooth surfaces and razor-sharp angles that allowed them to fit against one another with astonishing precision, creating a continuous, gleaming outer shell that would have been visible from miles across the desert, especially at sunrise, when the first rays of light struck the polished surface and made the pyramid shine as if it were a fragment of the sun itself resting on Earth. And the process of placing these casing stones required small, adjustable ramps and wooden scaffolding that allowed stone setters to move with ease across the face of the structure as they fitted each stone carefully into its designated position, tapping along the edges to ensure a perfect seal before smoothing the joints with sandstone rubbers, leaving the surface almost mirror-like. And this skin of white limestone transformed the pyramid entirely, turning it from a stepped skeleton of rough blocks into a flawless geometric shape that expressed Egypt's understanding of order, harmony, and cosmic balance. And as the workers descended the structure for the final time, dismantling ramps and cleaning the plateau, the monument stood completed, a massive, silent witness to decades of disciplined labor, bureaucratic precision, and spiritual purpose, glowing beneath the desert. Sun as a symbol not only of the pharaoh's sovereignty, but of the society's unparalleled ability to align thousands of individuals toward a single long-term goal, moving with patience and quiet determination, proving that the real secret behind the pyramids was not mystery, but the timeless human capacity for collaboration, endurance, and steady craftsmanship across generations. As we move into the next chapter of understanding how the pyramids were actually built, it becomes necessary to step back from the physical construction and instead explore the administrative, social, and economic systems that made such long-term megaprojects possible. Because the true engine of the pyramids was not only stone and labor, but an intricate network of accountants, scribes, overseers, transport managers, priests, and provincial governors whose coordinated actions ensured that resources flowed toward the plateau with the same predictability as the Nile itself. And this organizational complexity reveals a society that was not chaotic or primitive, but remarkably structured, governed by a dual belief that order was both a moral and logistical obligation. And so, in this part, we examine the bureaucratic machinery behind the pyramids, beginning with the scribes, who served as the silent architects of every logistical decision, standing behind wooden writing boards covered with fresh sheets of papyrus, dipping reed pens into soot-based ink, and recording everything from bread rations to quarry yields. Because without these written accounts, no building project of such magnitude could have continued for decades without collapsing under its own weight. And these scribes, trained from childhood in reading, writing, and mathematics, formed the backbone of the administrative class that connected the royal court to regional authorities, temple granaries, and labor crews scattered across the Nile Valley. And at the top of this hierarchy stood the vizier, the pharaoh's chief administrator, who supervised taxation, oversaw the workforce, issued directives to governors, and ensured that every district provided its share of grain, livestock, workers, copper tools, and transport boats, forming a continuous supply chain that sustained tens of thousands of laborers throughout the year. While the pharaoh himself, though seen as divine, was deeply involved in setting the ideological purpose of the pyramid, framing it not simply as a tomb, but as an essential component of cosmic order, which encouraged the population to participate in the project willingly, believing that the king's ascension to the afterlife guaranteed the prosperity and stability of the entire nation. And in this framework, pyramid building became not just construction, but a national ritual, a quiet, ongoing affirmation of continuity, which explains why so many resources were willingly directed toward a single structure, and why so many people, from farmers to artisans, accepted their roles without rebellion or resentment, knowing that public service during the flood season was both a civic duty and a practical opportunity to earn food, housing, and state recognition. And to keep this system functioning smoothly, Egypt relied on a complex taxation network based on grain, which was stored in massive granaries attached to temples and administrative complexes. And from these reserves, rations were distributed to labor camps near the pyramid site, where workers received daily portions of bread, onions, dried fish, and beer, the latter brewed on an industrial scale, with some vats able to produce hundreds of liters a day, ensuring hydration and morale under the desert sun. And this constant flow of food, tools, clothing, rope, wood, and stone was monitored through an endless stream of papyrus records, seal impressions on storage jars, and tally marks carved into limestone flakes, which served as short-term notepads for overseers who worked on the ground. And these micro-records, discovered in archaeological digs, reveal an astonishing level of detail, from the number of workers assigned to each team to the precise volume of fish delivered to the site at dawn, showing that the pyramid was not built through spontaneity or improvisation, but through consistent, carefully measured planning. And while the workers performed the physical tasks, the temples and priesthood maintained the spiritual framework that justified the effort, conducting rituals, reciting hymns, and ensuring that the construction was aligned with sacred principles that connected the monument to the heavens. Because for Egyptians, the pyramid was not merely architecture, but a cosmological instrument designed to reflect the perfection of the universe. And this belief infused every level of society with the motivation needed to sustain decades of labor. And when all these elements, administration, taxation, transportation, religious ideology, labor management, and seasonal availability worked together, the result was a sophisticated machine of state efficiency that not only built the pyramids but also kept Egypt stable for centuries, demonstrating that the true wonder of the pyramids is not their size, shape, or age, but the invisible organization that sustained their creation with quiet endurance and unwavering discipline, revealing a civilization that understood not only how to move stones, but how to move people toward a shared purpose that transcended individual lifetimes. As we move deeper into the hidden mechanics behind pyramid construction, it becomes increasingly clear that the success of these massive monuments depended not only on the administration of people, but also on the deliberate regulation of natural resources, the careful timing of seasonal cycles, and the subtle cooperation between different provinces along the Nile. Because every stone placed on the pyramid represented a long chain of events, beginning far from the Giza Plateau, sometimes hundreds of kilometers away, where quarries, farms, workshops, and river docks all acted as parts of a single, interconnected system that functioned with near mathematical consistency. And to understand this system, we must begin with the Nile, the river that determined everything from labor availability to transportation schedules, because its annual flooding transformed Egypt into a synchronized landscape in which the inundation deposited nutrient-rich silt, expanded the borders of farmland, and temporarily halted agricultural activity, freeing tens of thousands of workers who became the seasonal workforce for state projects. And this cycle allowed the government to gather labor without disrupting food production, forming a predictable rhythm that matched perfectly with the long-term needs of pyramid construction. However, the river also served as the primary transport artery for heavy materials, making barges an essential component of the supply chain. And these boats, built from acacia or imported cedar wood, carried everything from limestone to granite, moving through canals that branched off from the Nile and led directly to the pyramid site, where makeshift harbors and loading platforms received the materials with efficiency that appears surprisingly modern. And from these docks, teams of oxen, workers, and overseers managed the distribution of supplies to various workshops scattered around the plateau, including stone-cutting yards, copper sharpening stations, carpentry areas, rope braiding sheds, and pottery kilns that collectively sustained the demands of a huge workforce. And this distribution required precise coordination because even a short disruptions, as a delay in copper shipments from Sinai or a temporary shortage of rope fibers from the marshlands, have halted the entire construction process, which meant that local governors and provincial administrators played a crucial role in keeping the resources flowing, using messengers, river couriers, and written directives recorded by scribes to maintain constant communication between distant centers of production and the central government. And among the most overlooked aspects of this system was the management of animal resources, especially cattle and donkeys used for hauling food, grain, and tools. Because while the stones themselves were transported mostly by human teams, animals played an indispensable role in supplying the support infrastructure that kept those human teams functioning, and their needs, fodder, water, shelter, were managed with the same care as the workers themselves, further demonstrating that pyramid construction was not only a matter of engineering but of biology, ecology, and resource allocation. And beyond this logistical network existed another equally important engine, the craftsmen, who produced the tools needed for construction. From copper chisels to wooden sledges, because copper, the primary metal available to the Egyptians, dulled quickly under the stress of quarrying and shaping stone, requiring constant resharpening by skilled metal workers who heated, hammered, and reforged blades daily, turning what might seem like a minor detail into a massive industrial workflow that operated continuously throughout the project. And this constant renewal of tools ensured that the masons could maintain the precision needed to shape limestone and granite without interruption. And complementing the metal workers were the carpenters, who built everything from sledges to scaffolding, using wood sparingly because it was a rare and valuable resource imported from the Levant, meaning every beam, peg, and plank had to be reused, repaired, or repurposed dozens of times throughout construction, showcasing a culture that understood conservation long before sustainability became a modern concept. And while these logistical and resource networks formed the physical framework of construction, the social organization of labor was equally critical, with workers divided into rotating crews called files, each composed of smaller teams managed by foremen who ensured that the pace of work remained steady, safe, and synchronized. And these crews participated in friendly competition, as evidenced by graffiti found on blocks declaring team names, like the Vigorous Gang or the King's Friends, revealing not forced drudgery, but a sense of identity and pride that helped maintain morale over decades. And all of this, the river, the quarries, the workshops, the animal networks, the toolmakers, the carpenters, the transport crews, the administrative communications functioned like a vast, silent machine, operating beneath the surface of the monumental architecture we admire today, reminding us that the pyramids were not simply constructed by lifting stones, but by mobilizing a civilization that understood how to channel nature, labor, and time into a single purpose with harmony and discipline, forming one of the most sophisticated supply systems the ancient world ever produced. As we reach the final part of this chapter, we move away from the visible workforce and the logistical networks into the quiet but essential realm of knowledge systems, scientific observations, and architectural mathematics that guided the pyramid builders long before the first stone was touched. Because contrary to popular imagination, the Egyptians did not rely on guesswork or mystical intuition, but on generations of accumulated measurements, surveying traditions, astronomical observations, and practical geometry that allowed them to translate abstract cosmological beliefs into precise, tangible architecture. And at the center of this intellectual framework stood the surveyors, the men responsible for establishing perfect alignments, flawless angles, and accurate base measurements, using simple tools like mercats, plumb lines, knotted cords, and sighting rods, yet achieving results so precise that modern instruments continue to confirm the extraordinary accuracy of their work, particularly the near-perfect cardinal alignment of the Great Pyramid, whose orientation deviates from true north by only a fraction of a degree, a feat that could only have been accomplished through repeated observations of circumpolar stars, whose undying motion symbolized eternity in Egyptian cosmology, giving the builders both a spiritual and scientific reason to align the monument with celestial order. And beyond astronomy, the Egyptians relied on a sophisticated understanding of right angles and proportional geometry, demonstrated by the use of the 3-4-5 triangle, a simple but powerful method for establishing perfect perpendicular lines using knotted cords measured by rope stretchers. The specialized workers who performed the ceremonial and practical task of stretching the cord, marking out the pyramid's base during a ritual that blended measurement with sacred symbolism. Because for the Egyptians, the act of establishing order on the ground represented the restoration of Mat, the cosmic harmony that kept the universe stable, and thus the creation of the pyramid's footprint became not only an engineering step, but a sacred gesture. And once the ground plan was established, the builders applied proportional reasoning to determine the height, slope, and dimensions of each layer, resulting in a structure that was both mathematically elegant and functionally stable, using ratios that ensured the pyramid would not collapse under its own weight. And this geometric insight extended to internal chambers and passageways, where the placement of relieving blocks, angled corridors, and granite beams required an advanced understanding of load distribution, something they developed through centuries of architectural experimentation, beginning with mastabas and gradually evolving toward pyramidal forms. And complementing this geometric knowledge was the Egyptians' keen awareness of materials, particularly the properties of limestone, granite, and gypsum-based mortar, because each material performed a different structural or symbolic function, and these functions influenced where the material was sourced, how it was transported, and how it was shaped, demonstrating that the builders were not merely stacking stones, but deliberately selecting materials based on their compressive strength, weight, durability, and spiritual significance. The granite used for the king's chamber, transported from Aswan, over 800 kilometers away, was chosen not only for its durability, but for its connection to the southern lands associated with the origins of kingship, meaning the chamber served both engineering and symbolic purposes. And alongside this knowledge of materials existed a profound understanding of time, because the Egyptians recognized that building a pyramid required not only manpower, but generational continuity. And therefore, they developed architectural plans that could be sustained over decades, with adjustments possible if a pharaoh's reign ended prematurely or extended unexpectedly, revealing a flexible but disciplined approach to long-term construction that modern megaprojects rarely match. And filtering through all of this was the silent discipline of record-keeping, because every calculation, measurement, alignment, and supply count was meticulously documented by scribes, whose papyri ensured that no detail was lost, no team misinformed, and no step forgotten, forming a vast but quiet archive of knowledge that sustained the builder's accuracy year after year. And when these intellectual systems, astronomy, geometry, surveying, materials, science, project management, and ritual symbolism merged with the physical labor and logistical networks described earlier, they created a synergy that allowed the Egyptians to build with a confidence that seems impossible for a civilization without modern tools. Yet their success proves that the true power behind the pyramids was not alien technology, supernatural intervention, or lost machines, but human intelligence, patience, observation, and an unbroken chain of knowledge passed down through generations, making the construction of the pyramids a triumph not only of labor but of wisdom, a silent architectural conversation between humans and the cosmos that continues to resonate thousands of years later as the pyramids still stand, unmoved beneath the same stars that guided their builders. In the vast golden desert, where silence stretches endlessly and the wind moves like a whisper from forgotten civilizations, the construction of the Egyptian pyramids stands as one of humanity's greatest puzzles. And in Chapter 3, Part 1, we drift deep into the ancient world to understand not just the stones and methods, but the human ambition, discipline, and timeless devotion that made the impossible possible, beginning with a sense of awe that these structures were not the work of sudden miracles, extraterrestrial intervention, or magical forgotten technologies, but instead the result of organized labor, brilliant engineering, and a culture fueled by spiritual conviction, where tens of thousands of workers, artisans, engineers, astronomers, and planners operated like a perfectly synchronized human machine driven by the desire to honor their pharaoh, whom they believed would transform into a divine being after death. And as we drift through this history, we discover that the earliest foundation of pyramid building was not a single idea, but an evolution beginning with simple mastabas, rectangular tombs made of mud, brick eventually merging into the step pyramids pioneered by the brilliant architect Imhotep, who introduced the revolutionary idea that the afterlife deserved a monumental gateway. And thus, the step pyramid of Djoser rose from the desert like a staircase to the heavens, creating not just a tomb, but a precedent, a prototype, a conceptual blueprint that the Egyptians would refine through centuries of experimentation, observation, and learning from both triumphs and failures. And as we glide deeper into this chapter, we witness how the Egyptians combined religious symbolism with mathematical precision, believing that the pharaoh's soul needed a stable, eternal home perfectly aligned with the cosmos. So they calculated angles, observed star alignments, recorded seasonal changes, and developed building layouts grounded in geometry long before the Greeks formalized the subject. And their most impressive engineering would emerge in the era of Sneferu, the master builder Pharaoh, whose attempts produced both breakthroughs and near disasters, such as the bent pyramid, whose shift in angle taught engineers the importance of structural stability and internal chamber distribution. And through these early lessons, the perfect pyramid design finally crystallized in the Red Pyramid, a smooth-sided structure whose success directly inspired the masterpiece that would follow, the Great Pyramid of Khufu. And now, as we drift into that iconic era, we see not slaves being whipped under the sun, as popular myths show, but instead a vast labor force of well-fed, professionally trained workers, many of whom lived in planned workers' villages, received medical treatment, worked in rotating shifts, and served not by force but by national duty and religious devotion, believing they were literally helping build a gateway to eternity. And surrounding them was the complex network of supply chains that brought limestone from nearby quarries, harder granite from Aswan, nearly 900 kilometers away, and copper tools forged in large-scale workshops, while massive sleds carried multi-ton blocks across the desert, lubricated with water to reduce friction, a fact confirmed by ancient wall paintings. The workers used long earthen ramps, either straight, zigzagged, or encircling the pyramid, supported by levers, rollers, and coordinated pulling teams to move the stones upward, step by step, where they were then placed with remarkable accuracy because, contrary to imaginative legends, the Egyptians had no need for futuristic lasers or alien machinery. They had geometry, teamwork, experimentation, and unwavering patience. And yet, this doesn't diminish the awe, but increases it, because building the pyramids wasn't just about physical labor, but also monumental planning that could span decades, requiring food supply systems for thousands of workers, administrative record-keeping, architectural oversight, and logistical strategy that rivaled modern state-level project management. And as you drift further into this narrative and feel the slow rhythm of ancient workers pulling ropes in unison, you begin to see how perfect alignment with the cardinal directions wasn't an accident, but the outcome of astronomical observation, especially the use of the circumpolar stars, which never set below the horizon and were considered eternal, just like the pharaoh. And through simple yet brilliantly executed tools like Mercat's ancient sighting rods, plumb lines, and leveling troughs filled with water, the builders achieved near-perfect symmetry, adjusting their work continuously as the structure rose. And each stone layer was not random, but part of a predetermined grid system that ensured the pyramid remained centered, stable, and angled precisely at 51.5 degrees. And the interior chambers and passages were planned years in advance, requiring expert knowledge of load distribution so that massive stones above the king's chamber were arranged in a flyered system to divert weight outward and prevent collapse. An innovation so advanced that modern engineers still admire it. And as we continue floating through this historical dream, we remember that this construction was not simply a physical endeavor, but a spiritual one, representing the Egyptian belief in rebirth, cosmic order, and the eternal journey of the soul. So every hammer strike, every stone dragged across sand, every calculation made under the desert sun was part of a devotion that transcended death itself. And the pyramids we see today are only the skeletal remains of once gleaming monuments covered in polished white limestone casing that reflected the sunlight so intensely that they could be seen from miles away like radiant beacons. And while those casing stones are mostly gone, stolen over centuries and used in later constructions, the core structure remains solid, defying time and reminding us that the pyramids were neither accidents nor impossibilities, but the triumphant result of human will, ingenuity, and unity. And through the calm rhythm of this retelling, you can almost hear the distant chants of workers, the scrape of stone on sled, and the soft murmur of the Nile carrying resources to the construction site, revealing that the real secret of the pyramids is not mystery, but mastery achieved slowly, deliberately, and with a sense of purpose so profound that even after thousands of years, their presence continues to fill the world with wonder, curiosity, and a quiet, unforgettable sense of ancient perfection. As we move deeper into the mystery of how the pyramids were actually built, Chapter 3, Part 2 drifts into the complex and astonishing systems the ancient Egyptians used to transport, lift, position, and perfectly align millions of heavy stones, revealing not a civilization lost to magic, but one grounded in method, mathematics, teamwork, and a deep understanding of physical forces that modern engineers still study with admiration. And as we wander through this ancient landscape, we first encounter the massive limestone blocks, each weighing 2 to 3 tons, being quarried with copper chisels, dolerite pounding stones, and wooden wedges soaked in water to crack the rock, creating a steady, rhythmic echo across the desert cliffs, where hundreds of skilled workers refined the stones, smoothed their surfaces, and marked measurement lines using string grids and red ochre pigment, ensuring uniformity that allowed these enormous blocks to interlock like pieces of a cosmic puzzle. And once cut, the stones were transported on large wooden sleds pulled by teams of 20 to 40 men, moving across specially prepared pathways where water was poured to dampen the sand and reduce friction by nearly Haffa technique, confirmed by ancient wall paintings that show workers carrying jars of water beside sleds. And this simple yet revolutionary trick demonstrated how the Egyptians mastered environmental physics long before the concept was formally recognized. And as these sleds slid across the desert floor toward Giza, they were guided not randomly, but through a system of checkpoints, ramps, signalers, and overseers who managed the entire logistical chain like a coordinated orchestra, ensuring that every block arrived exactly when needed, because timing was everything. And with a workforce of thousands, every hour lost could set the project back by days. So precision was woven into the foundation of pyramid building. And when the blocks reached the construction site, the challenge transformed from horizontal movement to vertical lifting, an engineering feat that remains the source of endless debate, yet becomes clearer as we float through the slow, patient techniques the Egyptians used, beginning with massive earthen ramps built from limestone rubble, clay, gypsum, and desert sand, forming durable structures that could bear immense weight. And these ramps came in several forms: straight frontal ramps, zigzagging ramps, or circular wraparound ramps spiraling up the structure, each adjusted as construction rose higher, allowing workers to pull blocks upward with ropes, levers, and coordinated teams, while engineers constantly reinforced the ramps to prevent collapse under extreme pressure. And though no single ramp design has been universally proven. Archaeological evidence shows that multiple ramp types were used depending on the section being built, because the Egyptians adapted constantly, responding to height, weight distribution, and available space, revealing a fluid engineering mindset rooted in experimentation. And once blocks reached the correct level, the process of placement required even more precision, as each stone had to fit perfectly into the grid alignment that determined the pyramid's overall shape. And the Egyptians achieved this breathtaking accuracy through a combination of chord measurements, plumb bobs, leveling instruments, and water trenches that allowed them to determine perfectly horizontal surfaces, a technique so accurate that the Great Pyramid's base is level 2 within less than 2 centimeters across more than 13 acres of surface, a level of perfection that would challenge modern construction even with advanced machinery. And the placement of each stone was guided by master builders who measured angles using simple yet ingenious sighting rods, ensuring the slope remained consistent at 51.5 degrees, and when minor adjustments were needed, wooden levers and stone shims were used to nudge the blocks millimeters at a time until they locked precisely into place, creating a seamless outer surface that, when later covered with polished white limestone casing stones, reflected the desert sun like a shining celestial mirror, making the pyramid glow across the valley. And as we sink further into this chapter, we observe the immense internal structures, the grand gallery, the ascending passages, the king's chamber being constructed with granite beams weighing 50 to 80 tons each, transported from Aswan, hundreds of kilometers away, via river barges during the flood season, demonstrating an advanced logistical understanding of seasonal cycles and water transport. And lifting such beams required a unique combination of ramp engineering and lever systems that redistributed weight gradually, allowing workers to slide the stones into place using oiled wooden beams and friction-reducing materials, all while ensuring that the interior pathways remained perfectly straight, aligned with both the stars and the cardinal directions, and every chamber, passage, and shaft served a spiritual purpose rooted in the Egyptian belief that the pharaoh's soul needed direct pathways to the heavens, particularly toward the imperishable circumpolar stars, which the Egyptians believed were the eternal guardians of the afterlife. And this alignment was achieved using observational astronomy rather than complex tools, with astronomer priests standing in fixed positions, marking star positions over nights of watching, then translating these celestial alignments into ground measurements using ropes, stakes, and geometry, effectively merging the sky and earth into a single architectural blueprint. And as we glide through this process, the sheer discipline and endurance of the workers becomes clear, because despite popular myths, these laborers were not slaves, but skilled craftsmen organized into rotating crews, each with specific responsibilities: rope pulling, level checking, block shaping, ramp building, food distribution, tool production, record keeping, and their work was supported by large workers' villages, complete with bakeries, breweries, medical stations, sleeping quarters, and administrative offices, showing a level of worker care and social organization far ahead of its time. And archaeological evidence even reveals that injured workers received medical treatment. Broken bones were set, proving that this was a respected profession tied deeply to national pride and religious devotion, not forced servitude. And as the pyramid grew toward completion, the upper sections required even more careful planning because the smaller blocks placed near the top had to maintain precise alignment while being lifted higher and higher, requiring continuous modifications to the ramps, which were gradually dismantled as the final layers were placed. And finally, at the peak of construction, the most symbolic stone of Alpha Pyramidion or capstone was raised, likely gilded in gold or electrum to shine like a beacon under the sun, signifying the pharaoh's ascension to divine radiance. And once the last stone was set, the ramps were removed. The outer casing was polished to a mirror-like shine, and the entire structure stood transformed into a radiant monument of power, spirituality, engineering, and human perseverance. A testament not to mystery, but to mastery, to a civilization that understood the world through balance, precision, and cosmic harmony, leaving behind a legacy so immense that it still captures the hearts and imaginations of people across the world, reminding us that the pyramids were not built by mythical beings or lost technologies, but by human hands, guided by extraordinary planning, creativity, and the timeless desire to reach beyond the limits of life itself. As we enter the final stages of Chapter 3, we shift focus from the movement and placement of stones to the meticulous finishing work that transformed a massive pile of blocks into a gleaming symbol of divine order. Because the true brilliance of the pyramids lay not merely in their structural stability, but in their polished exteriors, precise geometry, and the spiritual symbolism embedded in every inch. And this phase began with the transportation and placement of the Tura limestone casing stones, quarried across the Nile and floated on barges to the construction site during the high flood season when water levels were ideal. And upon arrival, these stones were carefully trimmed to exact specifications, creating an outer surface so smooth that when installed, sunlight reflected across the desert with a dazzling brilliance, turning the pyramids into luminous markers of celestial harmony visible from miles away. And this work required master stonecutters, leveling experts, and teams of laborers who coordinated placement with incredible precision, using sighting tools, leveling troughs filled with water, and rope grids to ensure that each casing stone fit perfectly with its neighbors, leaving nearly invisible joints and maintaining the exact angle necessary for the pyramid's iconic slope. And as these outer stones were installed, internal adjustments continued, because the king's chamber, queen's chamber, and ascending and descending passages had to be aligned to celestial targets and structural load paths simultaneously, a feat achieved by calculating the distribution of weight through corbelled ceilings and relieving blocks to prevent collapse under millions of tons above. And these architectural innovations were planned decades in advance, with the understanding that the pyramid would stand not for a few generations, but for eternity, embodying the concept of Ma'at, or cosmic balance, in stone. And alongside this architectural mastery, the spiritual dimension of construction continued unabated, with priests performing rituals, offerings, and chants to sanctify the structure. As the pyramid was seen not merely as a tomb, but as a conduit for the pharaoh's soul to ascend to the heavens, aligned with circumpolar stars symbolizing eternity, so that the laborers' sweat, the mason's hammer strikes, and the surveyor's meticulous measurements all contributed to a sacred enterprise larger than any individual, reinforcing the idea that the pyramid was a microcosm of Egypt's universe, where human effort, divine order, and celestial patterns converged. And as the final casing stones were polished and set, the pyramid reached its ultimate form, a radiant geometric marvel whose precision in base alignment, slope, and apex placement continues to astonish engineers and historians alike. And the surrounding plateau was cleared of ramps and scaffolding, leaving a monumental structure that appeared to float above the desert sands, an eternal testament to the collaboration of thousands over decades. And although centuries of erosion, looting, and human interference have removed most of the original casing stones, leaving the raw core exposed today, modern analysis confirms that the pyramid would have once shone like a mirror, reflecting the sun like a second sun on Earth. And as the final stone, the pyramidion, was imagined to be gilded, it crowned the structure, connecting heaven and earth, human and divine, stone and star, demonstrating the Egyptians' profound understanding of symbolism, optics, and cosmic correspondence. And while some scholars speculate about secret methods or lost technologies, the overwhelming evidence points to a combination of careful planning, disciplined labor, seasonal resource management, sophisticated surveying, structural innovation, and spiritual devotion as the mechanisms that allowed the construction of these enduring monuments. And even today, as we walk the Giza Plateau, measure the angles, trace the ramps, and consider the astronomical alignments, it becomes evident that the pyramid's creation was a monumental human achievement rather than an inexplicable miracle, blending science, art, and ritual into a seamless expression of cultural mastery. And through this lens, the pyramids can be appreciated not as mysterious relics of the past, but as carefully orchestrated triumphs of organization, ingenuity, and faith, embodying the Egyptians' remarkable ability to transform raw stone, sand, and water into structures that have endured millennia, silently witnessing the passage of time, inspiring curiosity, and preserving the memory of a civilization whose intelligence, patience, and devotion continue to awe and educate. And in this final stage, the lesson becomes clear. The construction of the pyramids was not an act of magic, but a testament to human potential, the product of thousands of lives, decades of planning, and a harmonious blend of labor, knowledge, and belief, creating a monument that stands as a timeless symbol of perseverance, order, and the pursuit of perfection, bridging the earthly and celestial realms in a form that is both profoundly practical and endlessly poetic, demonstrating that when humanity combines insight, discipline, and purpose, even the heaviest stones can be lifted, aligned, and transformed into enduring symbols of civilization. And that is the true secret behind the pyramids, far beyond myths, legends, or simplistic explanations, rooted instead in the extraordinary capabilities of human collaboration, vision, and devotion that remain as relevant and inspiring today as they were over 4,000 years ago. As we enter Chapter 4, we shift focus from stones, ramps, and architecture to the human engine that powered the pyramids, the vast workforce whose organization, daily routines, and social structure made the construction of such monumental structures possible. because while the pyramids themselves stand as silent, immovable testaments to engineering skill, it was the careful planning, management, and care of thousands of workers that transformed raw material into precise, eternal forms, and contrary to popular myths of enslaved masses driven by brutality. Archaeological evidence shows that the workforce was a highly organized community composed of skilled laborers, craftsmen, artisans, surveyors, and seasonal conscripts who worked under a system that combined incentive, duty, and spiritual purpose. And at the center of this organization were rotating crews called files, each subdivided into smaller teams assigned specific tasks: stone cutting, hauling, leveling, tool maintenance, construction of ramps, food distribution, or record keeping. And these teams operated in shifts that allowed continuous work without exhausting individuals. Supported by barrack-style housing, bakeries producing thousands of loaves daily, breweries creating ample beer for hydration, medical stations attending to injuries, and overseers who monitored both productivity and morale, all indicating a society that understood the importance of maintaining both efficiency and well-being. And the presence of graffiti on blocks, team inscriptions, and celebratory carvings shows that workers identified with their groups, competing and cooperating with pride, a form of camaraderie that not only sustained motivation but created a sense of shared accomplishment, as each laborer knew their contribution had eternal significance in supporting the pharaoh's ascension and ensuring the stability of the cosmos. And this blend of practical management and spiritual reinforcement created a disciplined yet humane labor environment that allowed thousands to work together over decades, sustaining a level of productivity that modern project managers still marvel at. And beyond the files, supervisors and foremen maintained strict schedules, directing teams in alignment with supply arrivals, seasonal changes, and the demands of specific construction stages, while scribes recorded daily outputs, resource consumption, and worker health, producing an intricate administrative system akin to a miniature government focused entirely on a single long-term objective. And these records show precise rationing of bread, fish, onions, and beer, careful attention to working conditions in the desert heat, and systematic rotation to prevent exhaustion, indicating that Egyptian planners were fully aware of human limits and optimized labor accordingly. And this attention extended to artisans who produced copper chisels, dolerite pounding stones, wooden sledges, ropes, and even scaffolding, ensuring that tools were maintained in peak condition to avoid work delays. And carpenters, metalworkers, and rope makers functioned like a supply chain within the workforce itself, highlighting the complex interdependence of skilled and unskilled labor, where each participant's contribution was crucial for the overall success of the project. And as we drift further into this chapter, the social dimension becomes evident, because workers were often organized from surrounding villages, districts, and provinces, creating a diverse yet cooperative population that required careful management, equitable distribution of food and water, and social recognition for achievements, which in turn reinforced loyalty to both the pharaoh and the state. And alongside daily labor, spiritual life continued, with workers participating in temple rituals, offering prayers, and acknowledging the divine purpose of the project, creating an atmosphere where labor, belief, and civic duty intertwined seamlessly. And while the construction site appears harsh to modern eyes, evidence suggests a thriving temporary community with communal dining areas, sleeping quarters, bakeries, breweries, workshops, and medical facilities, all carefully planned and maintained, revealing a level of social organization that transformed a potentially chaotic endeavor into a model of sustained productivity and collaboration. And the scale of this workforce, numbering in the tens of thousands, required constant planning for transportation, food, logistics, labor rotation, seasonal labor recruitment, and emergency response, which was achieved through a network of overseers, scribes, and administrators whose careful coordination allowed the project to continue uninterrupted for decades, demonstrating an understanding of human psychology, group dynamics, and efficient labor distribution. And as we consider the daily rhythm of this workforce, it is clear that construction was both physically demanding and intellectually disciplined, with tasks allocated according to skill level, age, and experience, while apprentices learned trades alongside masters, passing knowledge from generation to generation, ensuring continuity of expertise and refinement of techniques. And these social and educational structures highlight how the Egyptians cultivated a workforce not merely as laborers, but as participants in a complex, purposeful system that balanced effort, learning, ritual, and reward, allowing them to achieve feats that modern observers can scarcely imagine. And in this combination of skilled labor, organized rotation, detailed record-keeping, spiritual motivation, and social cohesion, we find the true human story behind the pyramids, a civilization capable of aligning thousands of people toward a single, multi-decadal goal, transforming desert sands and quarried stone into structures of enduring beauty and precision, proving that the grandeur of the pyramids was not solely in their physical form, but in the extraordinary coordination, discipline, and humanity of those who built them, leaving behind a legacy of organization, engineering, and devotion that continues to inspire awe today. And as the sun rises and falls over the plateau, casting shadows that trace the pyramid's perfect geometry, we see not only the monuments themselves, but the invisible network of effort, care, and social intelligence that made their creation possible, revealing that the true secret of the pyramids lies in people as much as in stone, and the harmony of their society, labor, and belief elevated their civilization to heights that remain unparalleled, allowing a generation of workers to leave an indelible mark on history that still commands respect and wonder thousands of years later. As we delve deeper into Chapter 4, Part 2, we focus on the sophisticated tools, technologies, and engineering innovations that allowed the ancient Egyptians to accomplish the monumental task of building pyramids with such precision. Because while the human workforce provided the labor, it was the ingenious combination of simple yet effective tools, careful material selection, and applied physics that transformed effort into enduring architectural perfection. And at the foundation of this technological achievement was the copper chisel, a seemingly modest implement that, when combined with dolerite, pounding stones, and wooden pallets, became a powerful system for cutting, shaping, and smoothing limestone, granite, and other stones used in the construction of pyramids. And these chisels were frequently resharpened by skilled metalworkers who understood the properties of copper and the necessity of maintaining cutting edges, because even minor dullness could dramatically slow progress or produce imperfect blocks. And alongside chisels, workers employed wooden wedges inserted into rock fissures and soaked with water to create controlled splitting of massive stones, a technique that transformed the physical act of quarrying into a highly predictable process, allowing uniform blocks to be extracted with minimal waste. And this extraction process was complemented by precise measurement and layout techniques, where surveyors marked cutting lines with plumb bobs, leveling troughs filled with water, cords with knots at regular intervals, and sighting rods, producing blocks that fit together with astonishing accuracy, forming the pyramid's core without the need for mortar beyond minor leveling adjustments. And as the stones were moved, the Egyptians employed sledges designed to bear immense weight, lubricated pathways to reduce friction, and coordinated teams guided by overseers who used signals, whistles, and measured rope lengths to synchronize effort, demonstrating an early understanding of mechanical advantage, force distribution, and teamwork. And this mastery of simple physics extended to the construction of ramps, which were built in straight, zigzagging, or spiral forms to gradually elevate massive stones while maintaining stability, minimizing slippage, and allowing adjustments based on weight, slope, and available space. And the ramps themselves required careful engineering, with foundations stabilized by compacted sand, limestone debris, and clay to withstand thousands of tons of stone and constant use, all while enabling workers to conserve energy and reduce the risk of accidents. And alongside the physical tools, the Egyptians developed an intuitive understanding of structural engineering, particularly the use of corbelled ceilings, relieving chambers, and angled passages within internal structures like the king's chamber, which distributed enormous weight from the pyramid's mass above, preventing collapse while allowing precise internal layouts. And the granite beams used for these chambers, some weighing up to 80 tons, were transported from Aswan over hundreds of kilometers using river barges during the flood season, moved with rope, sleds, levers, and carefully coordinated teams, demonstrating an advanced integration of transportation logistics, material science, and human labor management. And the placement of these beams required exact calculations to maintain horizontal alignment, prevent stress fractures, and ensure that each component interacted perfectly with surrounding stones, a testament to the Egyptians' applied knowledge of load distribution and structural behavior. And even the finishing work, including polishing casing stones from Tura limestone, required innovative techniques, as masons used abrasive sand, copper tools, and leveling devices to create an outer surface so smooth that sunlight reflected across the desert like liquid gold, turning the pyramids into visible beacons for miles. And this surface was more than aesthetic, as it symbolized the connection between the pharaoh and the sun god Ra, and every stone's orientation, slope, and placement was meticulously calculated to maintain harmony between the earthly structure and cosmic patterns. And all of these technological innovations were supported by careful record-keeping, with scribes maintaining detailed accounts of tool inventories, material usage, team outputs, and daily progress. creating an administrative feedback loop that allowed adjustments to be made quickly when challenges arose. Whether a tool broke, a ramp eroded, or a stone needed recutting, ensuring uninterrupted workflow. And the integration of tool innovation, labor coordination, logistical planning, and structural engineering demonstrates that the pyramids were far more than simple stone stacks. They were living systems of human ingenuity, where knowledge, observation, and experimentation combined with labor to produce results that still astonish modern engineers. And this harmonious blending of technology and management extended to the understanding of friction, leverage, weight distribution, seasonal timing, and human biomechanics, allowing massive stones to be moved and precisely placed without cranes, pulleys, or machinery, relying instead on carefully calculated effort and optimized human coordination. And as we consider these achievements, it becomes clear that the Egyptians' technological success was not accidental or mystical, but a product of centuries of accumulated knowledge, passed from master to apprentice, refined through trial and error, and integrated into a culture that valued order, precision, and spiritual significance. And as the pyramid rose course by course, the combination of tools, ramps, sledges, levers, ropes, surveying instruments, and highly organized labor created a rhythm of construction that was both methodical and flexible, capable of absorbing unforeseen challenges without jeopardizing the monumental project. And when we look at the completed pyramids today, we see not only the physical embodiment of this ingenuity, but a silent record of technological sophistication, human problem-solving, and applied science that predates modern engineering by millennia, proving that with insight, careful observation, and disciplined application, even the heaviest stones can be lifted, aligned, and transformed into a structure of lasting perfection. And in this, the Egyptians leave behind a timeless lesson that innovation often arises from necessity. Simplicity can be incredibly powerful when applied intelligently, and human coordination and creativity can achieve feats that endure far beyond a single lifetime, as demonstrated by the pyramid's unwavering presence through thousands of years of desert winds, floods, and human activity, standing as enduring monuments to the power of organized knowledge, practical technology, and inspired human effort. As we enter the final segment of Chapter 4, our focus shifts to the immense logistical and resource management systems that underpinned the construction of the pyramids. Because while human labor, tools, and engineering innovations provided the capacity to build, it was the careful orchestration of materials, food, water, transport, and communication that transformed ambition into reality. And from the moment stone blocks were quarried at Tura or Aswan, every step of their journey required meticulous planning, beginning with river transport, which leveraged the annual inundation of the Nile to float massive limestone and granite blocks hundreds of kilometers downstream, where barges were carefully constructed from acacia and cedar wood, designed to support extreme weight, balanced to prevent capsizing, and coordinated with the precise timing of seasonal floods, because early or late arrival could disrupt the entire construction schedule. And upon reaching the Giza Plateau, blocks were unloaded at specially constructed harbors and distributed to storage yards near construction ramps, where teams of laborers, overseers, and scribes coordinated their placement according to predetermined building sequences, ensuring that stone flowed from quarry to final position without bottlenecks. And this supply chain extended far beyond stones to include every necessary component of life and work for thousands of laborers. From bread, beer, and dried fish to linen clothing, ropes, tools, wood, copper, and fuel for all accounted for in detailed records maintained by scribes who tracked consumption, delivery, and labor output, forming a feedback system that allowed administrators to anticipate shortages and redistribute resources before delays could occur. And alongside food and tools, animal logistics played a crucial role as oxen, donkeys, and other draft animals transported heavy supplies, required fodder, water, and rest. And their care was managed with the same attention as human labor, highlighting a comprehensive understanding of biological and mechanical needs, while specialized craftsmen maintained and repaired tools to prevent downtime, ensuring a constant flow of functional implements for cutting, hauling, and shaping stones. And this integration of human, animal, and material logistics was further augmented by temporary infrastructure, including roads, canals, ramps, bridges, and housing complexes built in parallel with the pyramid itself, demonstrating an early form of project management that combined civil engineering, resource distribution, and workforce coordination into a single dynamic system. And even minor errors in measurement, delivery, or timing could have cascading effects, making continuous oversight by supervisors, scribes, and engineers essential. And these overseers monitored block counts, ration deliveries, worker rotation, tool inventories, and ramp maintenance, ensuring that thousands of individuals operated in harmony despite extreme environmental conditions and the physical demands of desert labor. And the seasonal rhythm of the Nile dictated workforce deployment, allowing farmers to contribute labor during the flood season when their fields were submerged and agricultural activity halted, integrating rural communities into national projects without undermining food production. And this careful balancing of human resources, environmental cycles, and material supply reflects a sophisticated understanding of both logistics and social cooperation, which allowed the Egyptians to maintain continuity of construction over decades and across multiple reigns. And as we drift further through this system, we see the intersection of engineering and administration, where construction schedules, supply deliveries, and workforce management were continuously adjusted based on real-time observations, weather conditions, and available resources, ensuring efficiency and minimizing waste, while ceremonial practices and spiritual oversight reinforced motivation and social cohesion, providing moral and religious justification for the massive endeavor. And even the transport of granite from Aswan highlights the scale of coordination involving river barges, riverine teams, sledges, ramps, and hundreds of workers synchronized to move the enormous stones across varied terrain with remarkable precision. And the entire network of quarries, transport routes, labor villages, and supply depots functioned as a single, interconnected machine, allowing the pyramids to rise steadily, course by course, with every human and material component accounted for, tracked, and managed to prevent delays, shortages, or accidents. And as the pyramid reached its final height, the logistical system adapted, removing ramps, reallocating labor to finishing, polishing, and interior work, while ensuring that resources for food, water, and tools continued to flow seamlessly. Because even in the final stages, efficiency and organization were paramount. And when the entire system is considered in totality, from quarry extraction to river transport, labor deployment, ramp construction, tool maintenance, food distribution, animal care, and administrative oversight, it becomes clear that the pyramids were not built by brute force alone, but by an astonishing integration of human ingenuity, discipline, organization, and foresight, where the success of each stone depended on the careful orchestration of countless variables across geography, seasons, and human capacity, and the evidence preserved in administrative papyri, workers, graffiti, architectural precision, and archaeological remains reveals that this logistical mastery was as remarkable as the physical structures themselves, demonstrating a civilization that could manage complexity on a scale unmatched in the ancient world. And ultimately, the pyramids stand not only as architectural marvels, but as enduring monuments to the Egyptians' ability to combine labor, technology, planning, and human cooperation into a system capable of achieving the seemingly impossible, providing a lasting testament to the sophistication, vision, and organizational genius of one of history's most remarkable civilizations, whose lessons in logistics, resource management, and strategic planning continue to inspire and inform even in the modern era. As we enter Chapter 5, we move beyond the physical construction and logistics of the pyramids to explore the profound cultural, religious, and symbolic significance that imbued every stone, measurement, and laborer's effort with meaning. Because while the pyramids are often admired for their architectural and engineering feats, they were first and foremost spiritual monuments designed to bridge the human and divine, to immortalize the pharaoh, and to embody the principles of Ma'at, or cosmic order, in stone. And from the very conception of these monumental structures, Egyptian architects, priests, and pharaohs collaborated to ensure that every aspect of construction reflected religious and cultural ideals, aligning the base precisely to the cardinal directions, positioning internal chambers to correspond with stars that represented eternal life, and constructing passageways and shafts designed to guide the pharaoh's soul on its journey through the afterlife. Because, for the Egyptians, the pharaoh was not simply a mortal ruler, but the earthly incarnation of Horus, the living god, whose death required a carefully orchestrated ritual and architectural environment to enable his transformation into Osiris, god of the underworld and eternal life. And thus, every laborer's action, every surveyor's measurement, every stone placed was part of a sacred undertaking that extended beyond the temporal realm into the spiritual cosmos. And this sacred dimension was further reinforced through temple complexes, mortuary chapels, and subsidiary structures surrounding the pyramid, where offerings, prayers, and ritual ceremonies ensured ongoing divine favor, while workers, organized in crews, participated in religious rites that emphasized the significance of their contributions, creating a unified sense of purpose and devotion. And the symbolism of the pyramid's shape itself reflects the Egyptians' view of the cosmos, the wide base representing the fertile earth, the narrowing sides illustrating the ascent toward the heavens, and the apex symbolizing the ultimate reunion with the divine. often capped with a pyramidion, sometimes gilded, to reflect sunlight like a divine beacon, reinforcing the connection between the terrestrial and celestial, while internally, the design of burial chambers, false passages, and relieving structures was not only functional but deeply symbolic, ensuring protection of the pharaoh's body and treasures, while simultaneously guiding his soul along an eternal path. And as we drift further into the cultural dimension, we see that the pyramids also embodied political power, reinforcing the pharaoh's authority and demonstrating the ability of the state to mobilize, organize, and sustain vast resources and labor forces, projecting strength both to the Egyptian populace and neighboring civilizations, while simultaneously embedding religious cosmology into the very landscape, turning desert plains into sacred monuments aligned with the stars, rivers, and horizon, and beyond political and spiritual symbolism. The pyramids were centers of knowledge, reflecting advanced understanding of mathematics, geometry, astronomy, and engineering, because achieving precise alignments, angles, and structural stability required not only observation and skill, but the transmission of knowledge across generations, creating a culture that revered learning as part of spiritual and civic duty. And this knowledge extended to artistic expression as well, where reliefs, hieroglyphics, and paintings depicted not only historical events, but symbolic cosmology, connecting earthly labor with divine order, human effort with eternal reward, and the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. And the pyramids' cultural impact persisted across millennia, influencing Egyptian thought, art, and architecture long after the original structures were completed, while inspiring subsequent civilizations with their scale, precision, and integration of purpose, demonstrating that architecture can embody philosophy, religion, and social organization simultaneously. And as we imagine the builders, surveyors, and priests working under the desert sun, performing rituals, stretching cords, polishing casing stones, and observing stars, it becomes clear that the pyramids were more than tombs. They were complex instruments of spiritual alignment, cosmic reflection, and cultural continuity, designed to survive time itself and to communicate the Egyptians' understanding of life, death, and eternity. And even today, the pyramids continue to evoke awe, not only because of their monumental scale and technical perfection, but because they are enduring symbols of a civilization that harmonized human effort with spiritual vision, embedding meaning into stone and sand, and teaching future generations that architecture, culture, and religion can coexist in a single, unified creation, reflecting both practical genius and transcendent purpose. And ultimately, the pyramids stand as a timeless testament to the Egyptians' ability to combine labor, knowledge, belief, and artistry, demonstrating that human civilization is capable of producing works that are at once functional, inspirational, and eternal, bridging the gap between mortality and divinity, the earthly and the cosmic, and the temporal and the infinite, reminding us that even in a world thousands of years removed, the pursuit of harmony, order, and transcendence can leave an indelible mark upon the sands of time, echoing the civilization's mastery of organization, engineering, spirituality, and cultural sophistication that continues to captivate and educate all who stand in their shadow or contemplate their legacy. As we continue Chapter 5, Part 2, the focus shifts from construction and immediate spiritual significance to the enduring legacy, influence, and historical interpretation of the pyramids. Because these monumental structures have not only stood as physical landmarks for over 4 millennia, but have also shaped human understanding of civilization, power, religion, and ingenuity. And from the moment they were completed, the pyramids functioned as both tombs and symbols, influencing subsequent Egyptian architecture, including smaller pyramids, mastabas, mortuary temples, and elaborate necropolises, creating a cohesive cultural landscape that reinforced religious doctrine, pharaonic authority, and social cohesion. And beyond Egypt, these monumental edifices became beacons of wonder for travelers, historians, and conquerors, inspiring tales, myths, and eventually scientific inquiry, as early Greek historians such as Herodotus documented their grandeur while mixing accurate observations with legend, creating narratives that would echo for centuries. And during later periods, the pyramids were subjects of study, looting, and preservation, reflecting shifting cultural attitudes toward ancient monuments. While their precise construction, astronomical alignment, and internal engineering challenged assumptions about the capabilities of ancient societies, prompting both admiration and speculation. And as archaeology developed, meticulous excavations revealed the sophistication of labor organization, tool use, logistics, and planning, overturning myths of slave labor and alien intervention, and instead highlighting human ingenuity, social management, and applied science, which in turn influenced modern engineering, project management, and historical scholarship. And in addition to technical influence, the pyramids have had profound symbolic impact on art, literature, and philosophy across civilizations, appearing in paintings, novels, films, and scholarly discourse as emblems of endurance, mystery, and the human quest for immortality. And in the Islamic period, nearby structures and tombs incorporated references to pyramid construction and religious symbolism, blending cultural memory with contemporary practice. While European explorers during the Renaissance and Enlightenment periods approached the pyramids with both awe and analytical curiosity, attempting measurements, diagrams, and theories that gradually advanced the study of ancient engineering. And the pyramids' visibility from vast distances made them reference points in navigation, cartography, and geographic understanding, while their monumental scale served as a benchmark for evaluating human capability and ambition. And as we reflect on their historical influence, it becomes evident that they have been continuously reinterpreted to serve spiritual, political, artistic, and scientific purposes, offering lessons on perseverance, vision, and cultural integration, while remaining touchstones for modern debates about heritage preservation, archaeological ethics, and the study of ancient societies. And the pyramids' endurance has allowed them to witness successive epochs: pharaonic, Greek, Roman, Islamic, colonial, and modern, each adding layers of interpretation, restoration, and narrative, demonstrating their capacity to remain relevant across time. And the study of the Giza Plateau in contemporary archaeology continues to reveal insights into construction techniques, labor management, resource allocation, and cultural practices, informing not only history but modern fields like engineering, logistics, and architecture. And the pyramids' influence extends to education and inspiration as students, scholars, and enthusiasts worldwide examine their construction, symbolism, and legacy to understand how ancient civilizations achieved feats that seem almost impossible today. And through this lens, the pyramids are not static relics, but dynamic symbols, reflecting the ingenuity, spiritual depth, and organizational mastery of the ancient Egyptians, while continuing to provoke curiosity, wonder, and scholarly inquiry in a modern global context. And even popular culture perpetuates this legacy with documentaries, films, books, and virtual reconstructions, enabling millions to experience the pyramid scale and majesty virtually, while digital technologies allow detailed measurements, 3D modeling, and archaeological simulations that shed light on construction sequences, labor allocation, and material sourcing, merging ancient practice with contemporary understanding. And as we examine their role in shaping human perception of history, architecture, and civilization, the pyramids emerge not only as architectural marvels, but as enduring teachers, illustrating principles of precision, planning, dedication, and cultural integration, and inspiring modern architects, engineers, and project managers to consider scale, coordination, and purpose in their work, while also reminding humanity that monumental achievements require collaboration, vision, and sustained effort across generations. And as we contemplate the pyramids today, their shadow stretching across the desert, their polished limestone surfaces long eroded, their precise geometry still evident, we recognize that they stand as timeless witnesses to human potential, bridging ancient and modern worlds. And their legacy continues to challenge assumptions about what can be accomplished when intellect, faith, labor, and creativity are combined, leaving an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of humanity, proving that, beyond being mere tombs or tourist attractions, the pyramids embody civilization's capacity to dream, to organize, to build, and to inspire across millennia, serving simultaneously as monuments, laboratories of engineering, canvases of spiritual thought, and symbols of the extraordinary heights that human society can achieve when knowledge, belief, and effort converge in harmony. And in this enduring legacy lies the ultimate lesson of the pyramids, that human ambition, when directed with vision, discipline, and understanding, can produce creations that transcend time, culture, and mortality, leaving behind marvels that continue to educate, inspire, and awe countless generations long after their builders have passed into history. As we conclude our journey through the history, construction, and significance of the pyramids in Chapter 5, Part 3, the focus turns to modern exploration, preservation efforts, and the continuing mystique that surrounds these ancient wonders. Because, while the pyramids have stood for over 4,000 years as monuments to pharaonic ambition, technological mastery, and spiritual devotion, their survival into the modern era has prompted centuries of exploration, scientific study, and cultural fascination, beginning with early travelers, scholars, and adventurers who visited Giza to measure, document, and sketch the pyramids, often mixing observation with speculation, creating an enduring aura of mystery that continues to captivate the public imagination. And as Egyptology emerged as a scientific discipline in the 19th and 20th centuries, Systematic excavations and research began revealing the complexity of labor organization, construction techniques, astronomical alignment, and the social and religious structures that made pyramid building possible, overturning myths of alien involvement or magical intervention and highlighting instead human ingenuity, organization, and perseverance. And modern archaeologists, using cutting-edge tools such as 3D scanning, ground-penetrating radar, and satellite imaging, have uncovered previously hidden chambers, internal voids, and subtle structural details that provide fresh insight into the precise planning, engineering, and logistical coordination employed by the ancient Egyptians, allowing researchers to reconstruct construction sequences, analyze material sourcing, and understand the role of labor crews, overseers, and craftsmen in unprecedented detail, while simultaneously revealing the cultural and spiritual dimensions that influenced every architectural decision. And alongside scientific study, preservation efforts have become a critical focus, because centuries of erosion, pollution, tourism, and unauthorized excavation threaten the integrity of these ancient monuments, prompting governments, international organizations, and heritage conservationists to implement measures including restricted access zones, restoration projects, protective coatings for limestone, and continuous monitoring of structural stability, ensuring that the pyramids can continue to inspire awe and education for future generations. And these preservation efforts highlight the modern world's recognition of the pyramids as shared human heritage, transcending national boundaries and becoming symbols of collective history, intellectual achievement, and cultural continuity. And as global interest has grown, the pyramids have also become cultural icons in popular media, appearing in films, documentaries, literature, art, and digital platforms, shaping public imagination while educating audiences about ancient Egyptian civilization, construction techniques, religious beliefs, and social organization. And this modern representation reinforces the timeless fascination with these structures, combining awe-inspiring scale with enduring mystery, while simultaneously connecting contemporary viewers with the human stories of labor, devotion, and ingenuity that created them. And the educational value of the pyramids is further amplified through museum exhibitions, virtual reality reconstructions, interactive digital models, and international collaborations among historians, engineers, and archaeologists, allowing detailed study of geometry, material science, architectural planning, and societal structure, while preserving the delicate balance between access and protection, ensuring that knowledge is shared without compromising the monuments themselves. And as we contemplate the pyramids today, their imposing presence continues to evoke wonder, not only because of their massive scale and precise alignment, but because they encapsulate the extraordinary intersection of technology, spirituality, politics, and culture, providing a tangible link to a civilization that achieved remarkable mastery of both the natural and metaphysical worlds. And even as modern science demystifies construction techniques, uncovers hidden chambers, and explains logistical strategies, the pyramids retain an aura of mystique because their perfection, endurance, and symbolic resonance continue to inspire philosophical reflection, artistic interpretation, and scientific inquiry, reminding humanity that while technical knowledge can illuminate methods, the human aspiration toward permanence, order, and cosmic alignment is a universal phenomenon that transcends time. And this duality between explainable engineering and enduring mystic ensures that the pyramids remain a focal point for exploration, education, inspiration, and wonder, bridging past and present, and embodying lessons about leadership, organization, collaboration, and vision, while demonstrating how cultural, spiritual, and practical considerations can converge to create structures that endure for millennia, serving as reminders that civilization's greatest achievements often emerge from the combination of human ingenuity, labor, creativity, belief, and determination. And as preservationists, archaeologists, engineers, and global audiences continue to study, protect, and revere the pyramids, these monuments remain living testaments to what humanity can accomplish when purpose, knowledge, and collaboration are applied on a monumental scale. And in contemplating their enduring presence, we realize that the pyramids are not merely relics of a distant past, but active participants in human history, continually influencing thought, inspiring exploration, and challenging modern assumptions about what is possible. And thus, the story of the pyramids spanning conception, construction, spiritual purpose, legacy, and modern engagement demonstrates the unparalleled capacity of human civilization to create works of lasting significance, blending engineering, social organization, religion, and cultural vision into enduring symbols that continue to educate, inspire, and captivate all who encounter them, ensuring that these awe-inspiring monuments will remain central to human curiosity, imagination, and understanding for countless generations to come, bridging ancient ingenuity with modern scholarship, and standing forever as a testament to humanity's quest to leave a permanent mark upon the earth and reach toward the cosmos.